Hello guys, welcome back. I hope you all had a fabulous winter. As you can tell already, I took the winter off from flipping furniture and usually take the winter off unless I'm doing some small pieces because I do not have a heated area to flip. Okay, sorry if the camera angle changed. My tripod went all wobbly. So I don't have a heated area to flip. I flip out here in my tack shed, which is not quite ideal, but that means I really can't do a lot of flipping in the winter time because of my paint and stuff like that. Everything would freeze. So I took the winter off, but I'm out here today to start a new project because it's still technically winter. It's still February, but we have had some unbelievably warm weather the last few weeks actually. But today I'm getting around to getting to another project. This thing has been sitting in my feed shed all winter and I can't wait to get it out of there and get it done. So the piece behind me, you can see, is a cedar chest. I have not found a brand name on it yet, but I guess if we find one, that would be great. But this thing, I actually picked it up on the side of the road. It was posted for free on the side of the road with a bunch of other junk. I picked up this, I picked up a sprayer with it, and it's actually in beautiful condition on the inside. The only downfalls of it is that the veneer is completely gone off of the lid. So all of this is like rough, raw wood. So I know we are gonna need some paint. I obviously don't want to paint the whole thing because we do have some really pretty grain in the front and stuff like that. So I'm not 100% sure what exactly I'm going to do with it yet. I want to just kind of see how it sands down, see how the old finish strips, and we'll kind of go from there. But I know it's definitely going to need it's going to need painted on the top. I don't have any big sheets of veneer to replace it. So what I'm going to be doing today is bondoing the whole top of it. I picked up some Bondo and I'm just going to be spreading it all across the top because my goal is to make it a smooth top. So if I do paint the top, it's not going to settle into all of the rough grain and the rough texture of the top, because then it will look really it'll look just painted bad. So if I can get it nice and smooth, or as smooth as I possibly can, it'll look a lot nicer when it's painted. But anyway, yeah, I'm going to mix up my Bondo and hopefully get started. It's a beautiful, nice warm day out, so I'm hoping we can get that far today.
Okay, I sped this up because it is kind of a process, but if you've never used Bondo before, you have to mix two parts together. It comes with just the regular putty, and then you have to put the hardener in it. So that's what I was squeezing in there and mixing it up. And I actually ran into some issues because I didn't use enough hardener. So if you're doing this, if you're using Bondo, make sure you put a generous amount of the cream hardener in with the putty, because after all this was said and done, I had some soft spots that I had to go back and fix. So, rookie mistake. You'll also notice that I'm not mixing up a lot at a time, because normally when you put enough hardener in it, you don't have very long before the product starts to harden. So I'm mixing it up in small batches and then spreading it with my scraper, so that I'm not taking too long or I'm not making too much and then it goes hard before I can even put it on.
All right guys, I got the whole top slathered in a good thick coat of Bondo. So I know it looks really ugly now and it looks really bad, but I promise it's got to look worse before it can look better. So I'm gonna let this harden, and it should harden actually pretty quickly, but I'm gonna leave it for a few hours, let it harden up real solid, and then hopefully we'll be able to sand this really smooth with some sandpaper, and then it won't look so rough and bad when I paint it. So I'm gonna let that harden and I'll update you guys later. All right guys, it has been, I don't know, most of the day, and the Bondo has finally hardened. I checked it after a couple hours and it was still pretty tacky, so I left it for the rest of the afternoon. Okay, you know what? It's still tacky. Ugh.
Okay, after I managed to fix any spots that wouldn't harden, I'm going in with my sandpaper. I am wearing a respirator, which I don't do enough. I really need to be better about it, but this Bondo, like, just the smell of it smells so toxic and so full of chemicals that I'm just taking extra precaution, even though I'm outside, to wear a respirator, because all of this sanding dust and stuff does kind of blow back in your face, and I just don't want to be breathing in all of this product. So I definitely encourage anyone to wear a respirator, especially if you're working inside. I also went ahead and I scuffed up the sides of the chest because I'm going to be painting this as well. So I'm just using my sander, getting all of that old dry finish off and getting that ready for paint. I also went ahead and used some wood filler on the top just to touch in and fill a few small areas. So I'm smoothing that out with my sandpaper before painting. I also used sandpaper and just hand sanded all of these little details in the trim and stuff because the finish was so cracked and dry that I couldn't just scuff sand over it. Like, it all needed to come off. So I used my hand and just a piece of paper in all those little fine areas. And then I went ahead and sanded the front of it. I was unsure if I wanted to do this and risk messing it up, but I just used a fine piece of paper. I think it was like 220 grit, and sanded that middle piece before using this clear coat to clear coat over it. I did not add any more stain to these wood areas. I actually really liked just the raw color of them. So I went ahead and clear coated over it just right after I sanded. And then I'm going to go in with my Rust-Oleum's milk paint in this, I think it's Highland Blue is the color. And this is the paint I'm going to be using on the sides and kind of wrapping them around to the front as well as the top. And I don't generally like to paint wood pieces like this unless there's not really another option, like for this one with all of the veneer taken off and everything. This is kind of the route that I could go, at least with the skill sets that I have. Otherwise, I try to really savor the natural wood and especially hardwoods like this, but it wasn't the case here. Oh, I also decided to risk it and not use any tape, and then immediately regretted my decision, so I went and got tape. For whatever reason this day, it was windy and I wanted to keep working on this chest, so I got out this Vevor painting tent that I got for Christmas. It was on my Christmas list, and I decided to give it a shot and put it up, which was way too hard and complicated. And it actually, it's a pretty basic standard tent, like you just pop it up with the 2 sticks, but it took me way too long to figure out. But I eventually got it up and finished my clear coating in this. After this, really the only other thing that bothered me about this piece is the missing trim off one of the corners. So you can see that far corner has a trim piece and this corner does not. So that bothered me and I wanted to fix that. So I ended up finding this piece of board trim off of some old nightstand I was gonna flip and then didn't. So I took it off and basically I'm just cutting a new trim piece for it. It's not exactly the same as what's on there, but it's pretty close. So I went ahead and cut it long ways and just made a really thin piece of trim. And once I got it cut, I just sanded it down and clear coated it as well. So it's not exactly the same width. It's pretty close. And I think like from afar, you're not gonna notice any difference anyways, but I didn't want to just leave that corner of the chest bald like that. I went ahead with some wood glue on the bottom side of it, and after debating many techniques, I just went ahead and used some very small finishing nails to tack it into place. So you'll be able to tell the difference here, but I think honestly if someone puts it in their living room and doesn't like stare at it hard every day, you won't really notice the difference between the two corners. It looks pretty close. But that's all I have for this flip project. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and stay tuned for more. Oh, thanks for watching.